Okay, sixth graders, today we are going to be talking about least common multiple. So our learning target today is I can find the LCM of two or more numbers. In your table of contents, you should have already written down the greatest common factor and the least common multiples in your table of contents. Remember, we have already talked about multiples, and multiples are the product of a number and multiplied by another number. So like the multiples of 12 are 12, 24, 36. So we have 1 times 12, 2 times 12, 3 times 12. Those are multiples. So our first method of finding the least common multiple is listing out multiples. So we list out all the multiples and then we look for the first multiple that is the same between the two numbers. So if you look at the list of multiples, we have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84. So, and then we went with the multiples of 42, which is 42, 84. So our first multiple that we have the same is 84. So there's a couple different ways that you can go about finding the least common multiple using listing. So we can just start listing out multiples and go for a while and then go with the next one, or we can build off each other and find the multiples for 1, the multiples of 2, the multiples for 3, the multiples for 4, the multiples for 5, until we find a number that is the same. So let's try that for 24 and 36. So 1 times 24 is 24. 1 times 36 is 36. 2 times 24 is 48. 2 times 36 is 72. 3 times 24 is 72. So we found our LCM. Our LCM for 36 and 24 is 72. So our LCM is 72. The other method we can use is that ladder method that we've already looked at a little bit yesterday. So yesterday in the video we saw that we find LCM by multiplying out the L. So we take our L, and remember we find our multiples by finding the smallest prime number that divides into both numbers. So our smallest prime number that divides into 12 and 42 is 12. 6 and 12 is 42. So we get 6 and 21. Then the smallest prime number that divides into 6 and 21 is 3. And we get 2 and 7, which are both prime numbers. So we have all prime numbers. So now we can multiply out all of our numbers. So we get 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. And 12 times 7, we have 2 times 7 is 14. 7 times 10 is 70. So we get the LCM of 84. Let's try that with 24 and 36. So we have 24, 36. The smallest prime number that can go into both 24 and 36 is 2. So half of 24 is 12. Half of 36 is 18. So what is our smallest prime number that can go into 2 and 18? It's 2 again. So 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So now what is our smallest prime number that goes into both 6 and 9? That would be 3. So 3 goes into 6 2 times. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So we have all prime numbers. So now we're going to multiply along that L again. So we have 2 times 2, which is 4. 4 times 3, which is 12. 12 times 2, which is 24. And 24 times 3 is, so we have 24, or 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 20 is 60. So we get 72. So our LCM of 24 and 36 is 72, which is what we got with our last method too. So we got the LCM of 36 and 24 is 72. So let's try that one again. That method, we have 34 and 54. So the smallest prime number that divides into both 34 and 24 is 2. So half of 34 is 17. Half of 54 is 27. So this is where this method's going to come in handy, because this is going to be a large LCM because we are already at the end, because 17 is a prime number and there's nothing that divides into both 17 and 24. So now we're going to have to multiply out our 3 numbers. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to actually start with 27 times 17. So we have 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 4 is 18. Cross it out, drop down. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. So we have 9, 15, and 4. So we get 459. But we're not done yet because we still have that 2. So we have 459 times 2. So we get 18. 5 times 2 is 10. We get 11. 4 times 2 is 8. 9. So our LCM of these two numbers is 918. That would take a lot of writing if we were listing out multiples. So that's where this method comes in handy, is when we get those really large least common multiples. Okay, I want you to try this one on your own and see what you get for the least common multiple of 48 and 72. Okay, let's look at it. So 48 and 72. Our least prime number will be 2. Half of 48 is 24. Half of 72 is 36. Our least prime number, once again, is 2. So half of 24 is 12. Half of 36 is 18. Do it again. We have 2. Half of 12 is 6. Half of 18 is 9. Now our least prime number is 3. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So we have all prime numbers again. So now I'm going to multiply along that L. So I have 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48, and 48 times 3. So we have 48 times 3. 3 times 4 is 12. We get 144. So our LCM of 48 and 72 is 144. Now it gets a little trickier if we get to 3 numbers. So if we have 3 numbers, let's do 12, 16, and 24. We're still going to start by doing the smallest prime number. So the smallest prime number that goes into 12, 16, and 24 is 2. So half of 12 is 6, half of 16 is 8, half of 24 is 12. Same thing, our smallest prime number is once again 2. So we get 3, 4, and 6. Now, there isn't a prime number that goes into all 3. So if we were finding our GCF, we would stop. But since we're finding our LCM, we actually keep going because we can do 3 into both 3 and 6. So 3 and 6 can go into each other. So we divide 3 into 3, which is 1. We drop down the 4, and we take 3 into 6 2 times. Now we do our 2, because 2 can go into both 4 and 2. And so we put our 2 out here. We drop down our 1. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 2 once. And now we're done. Now we can multiply out on our L. So we get 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. And 24 times 1 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. So our LCM is 48. We could also do 3 numbers by listing out the multiples for all 3 numbers until we find the smallest number that all 3 of them go into. So we will continue to practice this skill in class tomorrow.